Well, I think the first thing is feeding the baby. I mean, if you're breastfeeding, you're bottle feeding, and that in and of itself is a whole kind of an area that a lot of people are just clueless in and have to learn very quickly. And if it's not going right, figure out what to do
and that's
right
where you
away.
want that close relationship because those first few days are so important, whether you're establishing breastfeeding or you're bottle feeding. One of the things where I think, parents all talk about pee and poop, but peeing and pooping actually plays into that whole feeding part in that if the systems are working right and the baby's getting enough to drink, then you now have pee and poop to show for it.
Yeah.
But when you do that, then you also have to get into the practical side of diapering. You have to understand whether or not a baby's constipated. And those are the things where you really kind of...
experience before I had my first, I'm sitting there watching him in his car seat, he's asleep, but he looked like he's really struggling. And I went to a class where the pediatrician was like, yeah, most of us don't witness other people going. A lot of us make those faces, and that's okay. It's not a sign of constipation. It's just they're going. And I was like, oh, what a relief,
Right. Constipation throws people because babies can make a whole lot of noise and effort and not be constipated.
Right.
But it is something to discuss with your pediatrician. The other thing is the colors of poop. They change colors over time.
But you're not changing what you feed them, so it's really bizarre.
And then, even just the simple act of changing the diaper, where you need to know how often do you change it? Do you have to diaper over the umbilical cord? Or do you? And
everybody gets freaked out by the umbilical cord.
For anybody who's had kids a while ago, the changes in diapers where you've got the cutout for the umbilical cord so it doesn't rub against it before.
I just cut
Did you?
And now you
I
don't
just
have
folded
to.
mine down.
Yeah, I folded it down too.
So those sorts of things are very important to know. And then also keeping tabs on how often they go. Same thing with pee. There are now diapers that have the little strips that show you in the diaper when the diaper's wet, so you know your baby peed, even in those first few days when there's not a lot. The other thing is, I always say there's the fever fear factor, but there's also the rectal thermometer fear factor. So you take a thermometer, and I talk to a parent, and I pick this up, and they show that, and exactly the look on your face.
It's scary when you have the regular rectal thermometer that I used on my kids was very long, and you're wondering, at what point am I?
How far does it go in?
Done.
And that's where, if you have somebody good, you get your information from a good source, they don't forget to tell you how far it goes in. What position do you put the baby in? Here's the secret I will tell you, though. It usually doesn't bother babies.
Yeah,
as an adult, the concept bothers adults. Every new parent I've ever said the word rectal thermometer to cringes when I say it.
Right.
It goes in a very short distance. Some of the newer models help you make sure that it doesn't go in further than it needs to.
Like that one.
Right,
I
like this
that.
one.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, but it also... I've done this enough times on babies who are sleeping who don't even wake up.
Right.
It does not hurt them. Now, on the flip side of that, rectal temperatures are the gold standard for newborns.
Well, they're just the most accurate. You can't get it in their mouth, and their armpits are not as accurate.
Well, and accuracy is what you want. In the newborns, the take-home message is, get comfortable with a rectal thermometer.
A touch can be so calming, but on newborn sensitive skin, it should be as gentle as possible. Now, Pampers Sensitive are the only sensitive diaper and wipe clinically proven mild on some of the most sensitive skin. For a calming touch, now clinically proven mild. Pampers Sensitive.
Pampers Gifts to Grow Rewards program recognizes all that you do for your baby by giving you something back. For more information, go to www.pampers.com.